Hi, I'm Alexandria De Leon, and I'm here with Duologue. Can you introduce yourselves, please?
Well, I'm Toby. I'm the guitarist.
I'm Tim.
And can you tell us about your most recent album, Song and Dance?
A lot of the songs started with Tim and the other Toby in the band, sort of making a lot of them in their bedroom, getting those initial ideas, and then we formed the full five-piece band, and a lot of those songs were taken in the studio and reworked and jigged around a bit. And here we are now with the album. We got a producer called Jim Abyss, who did Adele and the Arctic Monkeys to help sort of sculpt that. And he had quite a big influence, actually, in the sense that, many of the instruments we used were sort of software, soft synths, things like that, which we were able to sort of go into a big studio and recreate those sounds and really give the album some kind of uniqueness that, took it out of being a sort of bedroom thing, I guess, or a DIY home kind of thing.
We really wanted to make an album that really reflected that. We have a really broad taste to music, and we wanted the album to showcase all of those elements, so there's kind of quieter, intimate moments, there are much more bandy moments, and there's much more electronic moments. And I suppose it stems from the fact that I have a really short attention span when it comes to listening to albums. And even bands that I like their sound and appreciate what they're doing, I find it's very, very rare for me to find an album that I like the whole way through, And so to counter that, we really wanted our album to have a real breadth to it and a real diversity in the songs and stuff. So it was a big deal, I think, working with Jim to find a way to kind of tie all those ends together so you can sit really quiet numbers along really electronic numbers and it feel like the same band and the same idea that we're pursuing. And it's very important, I think, when you start to give people an easy way in to understanding what kind of music the band's about. And to do that, we really needed an album, the space of an album, to showcase that was what we wanted to do, that we didn't just want it to be a guitar-led band.
We went through moments where you could have thought of us as a folk act with, electronic beats, or 1 minute thinking we were a full-on dubstep act. Do you know what I mean? So it was hard sort of marrying all those different parts, but I feel eventually we kind of got there. So it was good,
I heard, I don't know if it was the entire album or just part of the album, you recorded in a big, giant, like this fancy church. Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
Why a big church?
Well, it was this was Jim, really. This is where he came into his own, because a lot of the songs were demoed pretty fully ourselves. One of those particularly was a song called Sinner that Toby Leeming, the guy who does a lot of the programming with me, had just kind of demoed in his bedroom. And Jim helped us kind of shape the song, and he had some kind of notes on vocal sections and things like that. But we just got to the end of it in the pre-session before we even got to the studio, and we were just trying to figure out that Jim felt the song needed something extra, like it needed to hit another point down right at the end of the song, because it builds and builds this tune. And then we just weren't hitting the kind of climax we wanted to hit, and we were working in a very small village kind of north of London in Suffolk, in the county called Suffolk, and it was dead of winter. All the small villages in England pretty much have churches, small churches that are really, really old and have been around for kind of centuries. And so Jim said there must be a church here, and they must have an organ in this beautiful kind of old church organ. So we kind of drove down to the church immediately, took a load of microphones, and then just set up all around the organ. There was no one in it. It was absolutely freezing. And then it's only in really for the last kind of 30 seconds of the song, but the very peak of that song, this massive church organ comes in. And it was just exactly what we needed to happen, I think. And that was all credit to Jim. That was where he was brilliant. In some songs, he really took things apart and reassembled them with us. And other things, it was just, he felt the demos were close enough. We just needed some kind of extra point to hit.
Okay, and I noticed the other day when we saw you guys at Palm d'Or that your music live is very different than your recorded music. How do you transition what you record to a live audience?
Well, I think it's important to basically play with more bollocks live. I think you need to change stuff up just so it's more graphic and it's more fun. I mean, a lot of bands don't change things up enough, I think. And sometimes you leave gigs feeling a little bit disappointed. For an electronic act, we're incredibly song-based, and I'd like to think it's something that not many other bands are doing. For an electronic band, we're not sort of full-on dance music. We're not trying to make people headbang the whole time. Do you know what I mean? So I guess it's kind of really getting the songs across and trying to paint them in a new way and help the electronics, rather than take over a song and define the music, become just augment it, I guess. So yeah,
I think that's totally right. The electronics were always to support the song underneath, and that was our most important thing in everything we do, even the really electronic numbers. They were all ideas. Once we'd written them on a computer or kind of demoed them, we would take them as a band and try and play them, even if none of the instruments would make it onto the final recording. It was all about finding the song and finding the emotive link to the singer and the vocals and the melody that's there, and having the electronics kind of support that rather than the other way around. It was always songs with electronics rather than the opposite, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We also like sort of joining songs up, really, much like a DJ would, you know, and it's those moments where we get to sort of go off the map, so to speak, and, you know, just do something a bit different, and it keeps it fun for us, so yeah. I guess that's the...
Although we played a gig yesterday, there's a bit, because my vocal mic is split out of the thing, so Toby takes a track of my vocal mic when it's live and he puts it into his Chaos pad, and so he loops it, and we have a section where it's all looped. And yesterday, I definitely can't say this, but yesterday he just caught a word in a certain way that was looped, and it was just a really, really rude word.
Pretty much the worst word you can say in this country. It is pretty...
And I really apologise, but we didn't mean to, but for some reason we just had a loop of like that word just on and on and on for ages. We were looking around. I don't think Toby had noticed.
I think about you all of the time, one of yours. I think about you all the time.